Now the next thing we need to set up are the categories. And you can think of categories as folders or sort of buckets for assignments, quizzes, things like that. So they're fairly broad. So you wouldn't want to have a category like homework assignment 1. You might have it just be homework. So these are broad sort of folders or buckets you can use. So first thing we do is we're already in Management Gradebook. We're going to go right over to Categories. First thing on the list on the right. And here's our category screen. It starts out with a default. I usually just get rid of that, so just delete that. And now we're going to add our first category. So, this is something you would want to think about ahead of time. I usually will pencil this all out. My entire class I will pencil out. And I know, like, I've got assignments, I've got homework, I've got everything, and then I put it in Angel, and then I can use that to sort of build this gradebook. Because what are my categories? Let's say for this one class that I'll be using as an example, I know that the students are going to be doing presentations. They're going to be doing comments in face thread or voice thread, and they're having a final project. So it's really only 3 categories. So there are these presentations, and that's the main assignments they'll be working on. So there's several of those, but the main bucket, the main folder, the main category is presentations. So let's go ahead and make our first category. I click Add New, and then here's our category editor. Make sure Advanced is checked. It should be checked by default, but if it isn't, go ahead and check that. So we're going to put our first title in. So I'm going to put mine in order of importance in like my grading schedule, my grading scheme. So voice thread comments. You could add a description. Under calculation, I would always use all assignments. If you choose drop lowest, what's going to happen is the first grade that they get is their lowest grade, so it will drop it, and then they'll have an F, and they'll be like, why is this grade not showing up? So just use all assignments. It's much easier, less headache. We're going to skip the release date. This is where you can actually make this category visible. I've never seen much of a need for that, so let's just skip that. Average format. It says course default. Remember, we set this up in preferences, and it's percent letter grade, but we don't have to select it now because we've set it in preferences as our course default. And then I'm going to put a weight in of how important and how these are weighted in my class through the gradebook, and I'm going to put these in as 20%. I click Save. Always click Save. Some things you don't have to click Save, some things you do. So always scroll down to check. So I click Save, and there's this comment. Weight of 20%. Now don't be thrown that this says 100%. Once we add some more, we'll see how Angel will do the math for us. So I'm going to do another category. Call that Presentations. Now again, I'm not going to bother with a description. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Skipping everything, going down, and I'm going to weight those as 40%. And as you can see, now it's doing the math for us. Because now when this was the only one, yes, it was 100%. But now that it isn't, it's figuring the math out. And down here, of course, it says 60. You want this number down here to equal 100%. So I'm going to add something else, and that is final project. And come over here and check 40. So now we've got voice thread comments, use all grades, presentations, final project. I've weighted them how I want them to be weighted and the importance of the assignments, and they both equal out to be 100. So once you're done with that, you have set up your categories. The categories are done, and you can move on to your assignments.